but I am tired of the same people, of the same things. I want to escape now to another place now, but with you, 'cause I don't want to be alone. Tell me if you want to follow me now, to follow me. Take me to your arms and never leave me. Don't leave me, boy. Tell me if you want to follow me now, to follow me. Take me to your arms and never leave me. Don't leave me, boy.
Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're three wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower.
Brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and a race is going off.
All the way from back there. Go on board with Ben Gregory now. I love it. 16.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Finish. I think Dennis Melchett has done enough to win the last round of the championship and to win the title all in one fell swoop.
It's a great touring car championship. Things are never chilled here. Honestly, the cars may be a bit dull, but wow, the racing certainly isn't.
Fastest lap of the race now, Ben Lambert.
Look at Andy Potts coming through the middle. He makes a little bit of contact. Dave Waldock is around and he's off on the grass.
Brayfield tries to go right round the outside at Druids. You do not do that and get away with it very often.
Takes the win in round 12. There's contact again. Fraser Smith and Dennis Melchuk are off the circuit. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Chaz Draycott Media, and welcome to another race meeting here in the Chaz Draycott Media British Boring Car Championship by Abruzzi Racewear, also sponsored by Sim Stickers and Sim Racing Magazine. We're here at my local circuit, the beautiful Oulton Park in Cheshire, but this time on the Foster's layout for rounds 7 and 8 of this amazing championship that has certainly thrown lots of curves and different sort of elements at us this season that we really didn't expect. My name is Chaz Draycott. Unfortunately, I do not have Ed May in the commentary box with me this week, but I'm delighted to have Season 1 Independent Champion, Season 2 Teams Champion, and Season 2 Drivers Champion, and my brother, Matt Draycott. Matt, welcome to the booth. Your first commentary experience in full. What are you expecting to see this evening?
It should be good. Evening, first off. Should be good. I've not really. I won't lie to you. I've not really followed it this season, but we will be. I keep trying to trying to remind myself to watch it and get it back. But with work and everything else, it's just it's hard to follow it really. But it's not really an excuse. But hopefully, it should be good. The cars are still the same as when I was doing it, so they should be still as close and door banging, that sort of thing, especially around Oulton Park with it being so narrow. It should be good. Yeah,
definitely one of the absolute gems on the calendar is Oulton Park. We'll take a look at the championship standings, and well, anybody that would have been watching so far would have realised that it's definitely a two-horse race between Jake Cranstone and Henry Morse. The savage points system, though, giving points only down to 10th place, certainly taking its toll on a few at the moment. But it's a tie at the top. Jake Cranstone with more victories, Stephen King in third, with then the absolute pile driver of drivers behind them, Kyle Ridley, next up in 4th place. He's only 2 points ahead of Patrick Dopart. Stephen Burns tied with him on points. John Bailiff next up. He's 8 points back, but then only 2 ahead of Dan Downing. Look how close it is even in the Teams Championship as well. Team Jane Fonda and Team Netcode separated by only 2 points. And can you believe that Henry Morse is the only driver to have scored all those points for Team Netcode? It's very, very amazing to see it so close. Jake Cranstone now quite clear in the Drivers' Championship as well. But looking at the drivers themselves, Matt, as we look at them out on the circuit at the moment, Jake Cranstone's been the man to beat so far this season, and it looks like right now he's the man to beat in practice as well around this very short and nimble circuit.
Yeah, it's he's not too far ahead. I think it's only, what is it, a 10th?
Yeah.
Less than a 10th of a second ahead at the best lap, so there's still, with even though this layout is only small, there's still that can be a huge difference around here. So we'll see. It's a difficult layout. Oulton Park's always been one for, as you see, it's always been one to trip people up and things. It tripped me up when we last did it. I was so confident going into it, and things happen. But we won't go into that. Things happen that are out of your control, and especially with it being so narrow, and obviously that I think it's the third corner. It's just literally going from, I think you're going from probably 100 mile an hour odd and to nothing.
Yeah,
pretty much. So it's difficult, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's one of those corners where you're not only in a braking zone that's really difficult to get right, but said braking zone is part of Cascades, which is one of the most sort of ominous corners in the UK, and then you're hard on the brakes into Foster's itself, then through Knickerbrook and back up the hill, and it is really one of those corners that's not easy to get right. We'll go on board actually with Patrick Dopart now, and even turn 1, Old Hall corner with a crest over it, very difficult to get right, but it's the dip down here, isn't it, Matt, with how bumpy it is into this braking zone, where a car like this just is easy to unsettle.
Yeah, it's a lot easier in a car like this though than something that's rear-wheel drive, because in front-wheel drive you just keep your foot down and it'll just go where you're pointing it. Whereas in a lot of rear-wheel drive cars around there, going down the hill over the first little bump that unsettles it. Then you go left, then you slightly straighten it up, and it's difficult. But yeah, there's a lot of sort of hidden dips and blind corners and things that'll trip you up if you're not careful. If you zone out halfway through a race, you can find yourself in the pits.
You absolutely can. A man that was not even in the pits last week was John Tusting. He joins us back again as one of the independents in the championship. The independents signified with the little blue strip next to their names on the left-hand side of your screens. There is a mediocre Cup 4 Independents Championship with 8 drivers taking part in it this season, as opposed to the usual 4 or 5 that we've had in the past. That's what's bolstered up the size of the grid. And Jake Cranstone, unfortunately for us, is one of those independents as well. He's leading the championship outright, and he's leading the independent standings. And he's got his good friend Jack Johns in there as well. Jack is 3rd in the independents in this session so far. Tim Rutten, he's flying the flag for the independents, one of only, I think, 3 or 4 drivers to take race victories so far this season. 4 drivers so far: Henry Morse, John Bailiff, Tim Rutten and Jake Cranstone with 3. It's always good for the independents to get a win though, isn't it, Matt? It just shows that it's not down to sort of pace or anything on who gets what car.
No, it's always a good little mix-up as well, because while you're driving, if you see that someone else is an independent, you sort of, even though you're in the same race, you sort of, for the teams, it depends if you're focusing on the teams, or if you're focusing on just the drivers' championship. If depending on which you are, if it's just the teams, then you know that you don't have to race them, and you know it's there's a lot going into it as well. There's a lot more sort of psychology as well.
Absolutely, and I mean, you've done this championship twice before. You've won every prize there is to win in this. What's the sort of the thought process going into a night here? Because one of the key things about this car is that it's easy to drive, but it's hard to get the pace out of it, isn't it?
Yeah, so the main thing is just the one thing I used to just do is just getting the practice sessions as early as possible, and just literally just fill it. Maybe not fill it, because you could go for over 24 hours in this when it's full. But you just get in, just get some laps in, just literally not bother even about looking at the times. Just get your head down and just get into a rhythm of it, and then you can sort of. Especially because when we were doing it, it was a longer races, if I'm correct.
Yeah, the feature races were. These are 2 20-minute races instead of a 15 and half an hour.
Yeah, and then in the first season, obviously I was on my own, I was an independent, and a lot of the time I felt like I was sort of a one-man army sort of thing, just trying to, because you didn't have to worry about who was racing you, because everyone else is an opponent. Whereas in the teams side of things, because I was with Josh, and I think on certain nights, I think we were quite even on a lot of them, but certain nights he was definitely faster than me. So it was trying to keep an eye on who you're fighting with, really. But overall, it's just you just gotta get in, get the laps in, get your head down, and see what you can do.
And that's exactly what the drivers will be doing in just a second's time, when all of the cars suddenly disappear off the circuit, and there they go. And then the session will reset, and we will now begin our qualifying session here at Oulton Park for round 7 of the British Boring Car Championship by Abruzzi Racewear. We're going to nip down to the pit lane and see them all heading out down towards turn 1. It's a wonderful sight and sound, isn't it, Matt? It's not it's just the sudden rush at the start of qualifying is always good fun, isn't it, as a driver?
I don't understand why it ever happened, really, if I'm honest. It was just that, let's go, sort of. Like, I don't know whether there was ever any advantage to being the first out, but apart from the draft, obviously you get in the train, but then everyone else slows down and it all gets a bit controversial.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, you can see this snake of cars making its way down. Now, it's the biggest grid that we've had when you look at full entries anyway, it's the biggest grid we've had in the British Boring Car Championships history, and even now, actually, we've got 21 cars out there this evening. And I think when you did season 1, it would have been 16 cars, and I think we would have had 18 or even 20 cars at peak in other runnings of the championship. So to have this many on track just adds more fun to it. But
more crashes.
Yeah, very much so. But I mean, one of the things you mentioned earlier on this evening is that this circuit is obviously very, very narrow. It's one of the narrowest circuits in the UK. It doesn't house a lot of championships simply because of that. But the other aspect to think about is there's not really a lot of runoff at Oulton Park, is there? There's no sort of forgiveness when you run slightly wide. It's just grass and wall.
Yeah, there's only a few metres. It's like the Monaco of Cheshire.
Well, it was Joachim Winkelhock? can't remember if it was Joachim Winkelhock or not. Oh dear, Tim Rutten's had a big moment, but that's the thing. It's easy to do that down at Cascades, isn't it? We're going to see a lot of that, and fair play to him for keeping that on the wall. That's a top effort,
yeah,
isn't it?
Very well there. He just got. You could see it. You could see it. He was just hanging onto that grass, and then he just dabbed the brakes. And that's the only thing with these. It's just because that's the only time that back end will come out is when you hit the grass and you start braking.
You can see that it's like the taxi ranks had opened then as all these jetters fly past him on the exit of Foster's. But I was going to say the one of the main issues with this circuit is the fact that there is only like a couple of metres between the grass and the wall, but it was Joachim Winkelhock, I think, that called it a mini Nürburgring, which is technically correct because you go through the trees, you go up and down, left and right. It's very twisty, isn't it?
Yeah, it's difficult, especially with depending on how it is. But I know on iRacing, the grass doesn't exactly slow you down.
No.
So it is difficult. It's almost like you need it to be like a wet January race day where you just dig into the grass to stop yourself, because otherwise you're just going to end up hitting metal.
Yeah.
Or someone else.
Yeah. Well,
which would still be metal.
Yeah. Just metal in a different shape. We've got Derek Robb off the road, apparently. He's just had a moment on the exit of turn 1. I think he's just staying away from everybody at the moment, trying to find a bit more room. That was effectively the car that Josh Rayfield was in last season. Now, trying to remain unbiased slightly, you've got Stephen King, who's one of the quickest guys in the series, third in the championship, effectively driving what would have been your car from last season. Do you expect and hope for good things from Stephen in that case?
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things. I've driven that and that for that team, and obviously the independents as well. So both of the ones that I've driven in is probably who you're going to support, isn't it? I think the only person, the person that I'm closest with would be Andy Fox, but he doesn't seem to be in.
No, he can't be bothered. Can Andy? He's too lazy for this. No, I'm joking. Dan Downing, actually, the car we're watching, has just gone fastest. He did purple sector 1 last time round. Patrick Dopart's just gone third for Team Bordeaux, so he's put in a solid time there as well. Improvements all the way down. Sakovic goes 11th fastest for Might Just Fit. Michael Blake not with us this evening. We wish Michael all the best and hope that he is well. Martin Kenyon's on his debut actually this evening. This is his second race meeting. He was getting up to speed with the car last time out. That's the thing though, it's not easy to get up to speed with it. Do you remember the very first testing session we did at Brands Hatch after the team draw? Everyone, well, most of them hadn't driven the car, had they? They couldn't believe how difficult it was to get pace out of the thing.
Yeah, that was a big turning point. I remember it, because it was just like, we all got, I don't even think was it free? I can't remember.
Yeah, the car was free back then, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, it was just getting into it. There was like no noise. I couldn't even work out if it was on. And it was just like, there was just, and then I don't think I'd ever driven something that was front wheel drive on iRacing.
Yeah.
So it was just one of them, and I mean, we for the first sort of 20 minutes at least, which we were trying, and then we decided that we noticed that it is an absolute meme, so we did start trying to make it bounce as much as possible, and and see how that sort of thing, just see how much angle you can put in, how much wheel lock you can put in to turn, and yes, it's got a little place in my heart, a little Jetta, I must admit.
I think Andy Fox was giving some pointers to Martin Kenyon actually before he had his first race meeting, and he said, if you're understeering, Martin, just put your foot down and put more lock in, and if you're still understeering, put more lock in and put your foot down, because that's how it feels in this car. It's not always the right case, but it's all about just keeping the car on the road sometimes rather than it being perfectly smooth. As we say that, championship leader Jake Cranstone finds himself in the gravel. Sam Van Olst going past there, and we were giving Sam a different name during the early stages of practice, weren't we, Matt? Because we caught him on his very first circulation here at Oulton Park, and it didn't seem to go the way he expected it to go.
No, yeah, he went on the wrong layout, so I said it was Van Lost.
Yeah, he went left at Cascades down towards Island Bend instead, as Patrick Dopart's gone second fastest. Patrick blinking in and out a little bit there. He's got Luke Austin just there in front of him. He decides that lap is all done. Have a look down the order. John Roberts the only one to not put a time in.
Where's he going?
Don't know. But John's putting a lap in now. Across the line he goes. He's done a green sector 2. Where is that going to put him? 22nd at the moment on a 109.2. But even then, Matt, 22 cars separated by 1.5 seconds. sure, testament to how short a lap it is here, but still also testament that we've got less than a tenth covering the top 4.
Yeah, it's always been with this car, especially with it being the same setup, etc. It's always going to be pretty tight. There's not a massive amount of time that you can find in something in this. It's one of those where sometimes you'll do 3 laps and you'll do a tiny slight mistake, because it's somewhat similar to the MX-5 in the way it's all about momentum.
Yeah.
In this car, because it's just not got the poke off the corner, but it's difficult to find time. There's been so many times where I was doing qualifying and you just almost like lose your rag with it, because it's just like you just can't seem to find any more time, and then that's where I just put my head down and just put some music on, just try but not force myself too much, and then that was where you'd probably find the time, personally.
Yeah, it's almost like you find time in the car by accident, isn't it? Because you'll just go one smoother line when you're not pushing too hard, and you've got to sort of give it 90% and not 110, because as soon as you step over that mark with this car, that's when it stops being smooth, and that's when it gets messy. We've got most of the top 10 on outlaps at the moment, but currently it's Kyle Ridley from Patrick Dopart, Dan Downing and Jake Cranstone. Perfect stuff for Team Jane Fonda at the moment, with both cars inside the top 10. They've got to think about the Team Netcode attack from Henry Morse in the championship. Henry is single-handedly almost winning the entire team's championship at the moment against Jane Fonda and Nodaphone. The Americans pushing very, very hard. It's nice to see, actually, Matt, that it's a bit more of an international grid for this season, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the only... I'm trying to think who was in it when I did it last. I think it was Sakovic in it last time?
He would have been, yes.
And then we had somebody else. I can't remember who else.
Dave Waldock was in season 1.
Was there someone that was Swedish?
Rob Lundgren. Rob
That's the one.
Yeah, Rob has unfortunately had to back out from this season, and hence Martin Kenyon's arrival on the scene for Ericsson Hitters. But yeah, a very international grid. Australian drivers, Poland, United States, Jack Johns over in the UAE. We've got the Scottish are here as well. We've got a Belgian driver in the form of Sam van Lost. We've got Tim Rutten. Also the South African Michael Ellett as well. And we were talking about the irony of Henry Morse, the American, and his teammate Michael Ellett, the South African, being Team Netcode for this season. You couldn't make it up, could you?
No, that's perfect. But have they done any netcode, if that's the thing, if that's how you say it? Do a netcode?
No, the only sort of netcode we've seen actually was with Kyle Ridley, to be fair. Kyle and Jack Johns came together big time at Brands Hatch when they were about 2 feet apart from each other, but I think iRacing just projected where they were going to end up and just threw them off the road, unfortunately. But that's one thing that you'll remember from this car, though. It's very sensitive to contact, isn't it, for something that's a touring car?
Yes. It was made when iRacing was black and white, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
iRacing's 15 years old soon. Can you believe that?
Yeah. I can. Yeah. I just with the damage model and everything like that, it's just obviously this is a legacy car, isn't it? So it's not got the updates and the modern stuff with it. So it was always going to be. I think if I remember rightly, it was when it wheel to wheel. That was when it was at its worst.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember rightly, someone got blown into space because of that.
I think it was Andy Fox here at Oulton Park, actually, where that happened.
Maybe that's why he's not here.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, his space program's not started. Derek Robb has just moved up into the top 10 in 9th place, and Sam van Olst has just gone 10th fastest. The two of them just over half a second behind Kyle Ridley, who remains at the top of the pile for that championship point that you get for pole position. And in a almost opposite fashion to when Matt was racing in the championship back in 2020, can you believe that? It used to be that we would reverse the results of qualifying straight away, so the sprint race would have the guy that qualified fastest starting 12th on the grid, but now we reverse the top 10 after the first race, so people do often try and race to get into 10th position, not just because you get a championship point, but of course the fact that you end up on pole for race 2. Stephen King could go well here. He's just gone up to 5th place for Team Red Ring. And look at that, still just under 2 tenths covering the, well, not even a tenth and a half, covering the top 7. It's remarkably close again, Matt, and it continues to get closer and closer. We've barely got a second back to Tom Minot in 21st place.
Yeah, it's close. It's good. Sorry, I just nearly swallowed my own tongue.
Don't do that.
No, it's no, it's good. I don't. Yeah, I'm a bit like trying not to die. It's
So
like I'm racing in it again.
It's just all about survival. But
Yeah.
Derek
Thought
Robb,
I was safe up here.
yeah,
Maybe not.
Derek Robb there just off the road. He's going to take that back to the pits, I imagine, after having an off. He's got 3 minutes left. And the thing is, as well, with this being a heat racing session, once the timer hits 0, that is that. Was there much planning back in seasons 1 and 2 to make sure that you sort of filled your laps in within that time, or was it just a case of just get as many as you can in and not really pay too much attention to the clock?
Yeah, I think it was mainly just do as many as you can. And,
Oh my
oh
god.
no.
Oh my god.
But it was just, yeah, I think a lot of the time, me and Josh did have a bit of a sneaky plan. I think a lot, because we did, oh dear.
Oh, did well there, Sam.
Lovely. I think we had a bit of a sneaky plan last time,
Was
because
it similar to
obviously
this?
we were reversing. It was like a reverse grid, wasn't it, from the
Yeah.
start? So we weren't pushing it to, because I think we still had that 1 point for first.
Yeah,
in
well, it
qualifying.
was 3 back then, and then 2 and 1 for second and third as well to really incentivise.
Yeah, so I think we agreed to just ignore that fact and aim for like sort of fifth or sixth, because it was then you sort of what, fourth or fifth on the grid. So and a lot of the times, obviously, you had people like Jake, and I think it was when Tom and that lot were in it. So it was a lot of the faster boys were always at the top, but then obviously in reverse grid wise they were behind you. So
Yeah.
days. Just had to make your way through traffic mainly.
Well, that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
in something like this, it's about playing the game, isn't it? Because you know what the format
yeah.
of the evening is, and it's about playing that to your advantage and not overdoing it, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And it was a bit of a. I was accused of it a few times, but sandbagging basically in qualifying is pretty much how they put it. But you know, at the end of the day, that's why I've won everything.
Well, you've got to play the game, like we say. 45 seconds left in qualifying here. Dave Waldock just about to complete a lap. He's down in 15th place at the moment, and that shows you how the talent level in this championship has escalated colossally. Dave Waldock came so close to winning the championship back in Season 1, and it doesn't look like an improvement from him either, and he's not going to get another chance at this now. Stephen King's done a purple sector 2, though. Where can he go? No improvement from him as he chases John Bailiff. So the final time's coming through on the board now. These guys are not going to get more in. They're going to have a little bit of argy-bargy as well. But it looks like we've not got many of them out there. Henry Morse once more, Matt. No improvement from him, actually, by the look of it either.
Oh, no, he's definitely coming into the pits. Where is he?
Oh, he's heard you. He's decided not to.
He couldn't even be bothered to get it there.
No.
And park it there, mate. We'll push it in.
That is it. That is absolutely it. So, qualifying done with. Kyle Ridley gets a point for pole position, and this is how they're going to line up for round 7 of the British Boring Car Championship by Abruzzi Racewear. Kyle Ridley and Patrick Dopart on the front row, 39 thousandths between them. 2 thousandths back, you find Daniel Downing in third alongside Jake Cranstone. Stephen King 5th, with Jack Johns joining him on row 3. Then it's Henry Morse and John Bailiff on row 4. Stephen Burns is 9th, with Derek Robb rounding out the top 10. Luke Austin and Sam Van Olst line up on row 6. Then we've got Tim Rutten and Michael Ellett side by side on row 7, ahead of Dave Waldock and Stuart Clark. Maciek Sakovic for Might Just Fit is then alongside Ericsson Hitter's Martin Kenyon. Simon Price and John Tusting round out the top 20, only 8.5 tenths of a second back. And then Tom Minot and John Roberts round out the field in 21st and 22nd place. The grid forming now, though, and it's Kyle Ridley for Team Jane Fonda on the front row, but it's the 2 independents on the second row of the grid, Dan Downing and Jake Cranstone, that are definitely going to be ones to watch here, Matt.
Yeah, 100%. I think, like I said before, with the independents, it's just, you know, you're on your own sort of thing. You haven't got anyone to worry about, so you just do your own little race. I think that helps massively when you've not got someone else to be sort of babysitting along the way, really.
This is one of the difficult things for John Roberts this evening, is the fact that the car is halfway down Deer Leap as this grid gets underway. Yeah, indeed. We were there for the British GT Championship and saw a lot of cars struggling to even get away for the rolling start. Never mind a standing one here. Sam Van Olst is doing his usual tricks, and he's waiting until he has become the final guy to get onto the grid. He is now there. So the lights will come on, and round 7 of the British Boring Car Championship by Abruzzi Racewear from Oulton Park is underway, and there's a big jolt of wheel spin, and then suddenly it stops for Kyle Ridley. Patrick Dopart gets a good getaway but can only slot in behind him. It's tidy behind with Daniel Downing looking down the inside as well of Patrick. Is he going to make that stick, going for second place? They try and remain contact free through there. It looks all safe and sound for everybody else as well. Derek Robb in the middle of the pack here for Team Red Ring. Waldock and Sakovic have both gained a place. They started on the same side of the grid. What's the chaos like as we go down here for the first time? Everyone on the brakes nice and early here. Matt keeping it tidy. There's contact, and Rob is off the road.
Oh dear. That was always one of the hardest things. I think I was a subject to that. It's because obviously it's suddenly all checking up, and the further back you go, the further back you go, the sort of earlier everyone's braking.
Michael Elliott off the road there after contact, by the sounds of it, sideways into the barriers as Kyle Ridley now leads the way. As Patrick Dopart's lost a couple of places here. He's in a bit of a scrap with Stephen King, Jack Johns and Henry Morse. Morse pushing Johns down the inside there, almost like an 8-wheeled Jetta, side by side between Dopart and Morse. And look at that bailiff down the inside. It's cars 21, 22 and 23. Behind them we've got Stephen Burns. He's got a front row seat this one, Matt, for Team Jane Fonda.
Yeah, it's always quite difficult because you can't see further in front, so it's difficult to see where you're going. But he does well there. He just has a little bit of an early break, tries to get a little bit of a... It sounds like you're hitting a sledgehammer against a piece of metal when you hit these cars together.
Yeah, indeed. It looks like just a little kiss here and there, but yeah, it's certainly an amplified sound. There's an amplified sound. Luke Austin and Sam Van Olst together. Big hit from behind from Tim Rutten, and Luke Austin finds himself in the wall. And again, that's just part and parcel of it. These cars start and stop very, very quickly. But Sam Van Olst, well, he tried to chuck it down the inside of Luke Austin. Big lunge from the Nodaphone car. Gets a great run. I think he just lost his braking zone, to be fair, and just couldn't get it stopped in time. Then there's big contact as they get together. Tim Rutten had nowhere to go in that one.
No, it was a bit of a... There wasn't anywhere he could go, really. It's a bit of a slap on the wrist for him because he's been a naughty boy. But it's racing. I don't think he was anything malicious in that at all.
Dave Waldock still in the thick of it here. 3 places gained for him, 4 for Sakovic, 5 for Simon Price, and then 6 places gained for Tom Minot. So these guys further down the order benefiting from some of the chaos. Derek Robb, Luke Austin, Stuart Clark has been in the pits as well for some reason. Not quite sure what's happened to Stuart, but we'll see if we can find out. I think maybe he had something to do with Michael Elliott going off. Let's have a look. He's got Clark on his left-hand side there as Elliott. Hopefully leaves room through Nicker Brook. Oh, Clark's turned in. Don't think he knew they were completely alongside. Oh, Elliott loses out big time there, doesn't he?
Yeah, that was unfortunate. He couldn't really do anything about that. He was just a passenger, and then the side door-to-door contact just spat him out.
Got a great battle going on in the background there between Henry Morse and Patrick Dopart. The two of them rubbing panels as they leave Druids. They're not going to leave this race meeting with straight panels on the cars, that's for sure. But Dopart has Bailiff behind him now as well. This trio, all behind Jack Johns, hoping for some good scrapping. And would you look at this? Great stuff. This is what Boring Cars is all about, isn't it?
Yeah. It's because there's not a lot of room for passing and things. You have got to lunge, basically. It is the best car to fit a touring car championship, 100%, hands down, because it's easy kind of to drive, hard to drive fast, but it can have slight little touches and things, but they don't always spit themselves off, and there's quite a lot. You can see quite a lot as well when you're in them.
Yeah,
I remember I was doing it in VR and you can see quite a lot.
Great to see these two, the respect between Bailiff and Dopart side by side for multiple corners now. They're still side by side as they go up Clay Hill. Stephen Burns has got the best seat in the house right now. He's one of the only drivers that's in his starting position is Stephen Burns. Wow, Dopart, Bailiff close together yet again. Dopart around the outside gets a little tap from Burns. I think he backs out of it to Stephen. He does. And Draycott just about getting away with that one there, but wow, very tasty stuff. Sam van Olst still in the final point scoring position, which will give him pole for race 2, but Tim Rutten's going to be chasing him down for that and hoping to get that final championship point. And of course, a pole position like he had at Silverstone that gave him his first win in the British Boring Car Championship. But still, Kyle Ridley, the Australian, leading the way from the 2 independents, Dan Downing, Jake Cranstone. It's Patrick Draycott that's not having the best time at the moment, though. He started second on the grid, Matt, and he's dropped all the way down to 8th.
Yes, not great at all. He won't be happy with that. But if there's anything I know about this championship, it can all change for him. I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to start the reverse grid on 2nd, isn't he? So you got swings and roundabouts, I think, with a lot of this. But he should be fine. He needs to get his head down. Just crack on. Is he near anybody?
He's a tenth of a second behind John Bailiff at the moment. He's right in the thick of it, actually, glued to him.
So I think if he gets past John, I think he'll be all right. I think he just needs to get his head down and just don't do anything stupid. Have a bit of like, just take your time. And if he keeps himself in that mirror, then probably something will happen.
Well, he needs to think about what's in his mirror as well, as Stephen Burns, the Scottish driver, right behind him now for Team Jane Fonda, piling on the pressure. Team Jane Fonda up there in the Teams Championship, of course, as I think there's been some drama behind. Martin Kenyon's off the road, coming back on the road. Whoa, dearie me, that's Derek Robb sideways and in the barrier again. Derek Robb with a massive bit of contact with the wall. What on earth happened there, sunshine? Simon Price had some drama not long ago as well. What's this? He's got Kenyon down his inside. This is going down to Cascades. Oh, Simon's clipped the curb. He's going on the island layout. Lovely drift.
10 points.
This is what happened to Kenyon, though, Matt. Let's see what's gone on down here. Actually, it's Rob, isn't it? That has the main drama. Oh, that's too hot.
That's way too hot. Is he trying to avoid him?
Oh, no. That's that wheel-to-wheel contact we spoke about, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even understand how physically that is possible. But
GGI
anyway.
Racing. Stephen King's got a lot of damage on his car, and it says recently Jack Johns passed him. I hate to
taking the arches off it.
Okay, yeah, I hate to jump to judgments here, Jack, because you know I love you to pieces. Oh, Stephen tried it on Cranstone, and then rubbed alongside on the outside of Foster's. Had a bit of contact there. Suddenly Jack arrives on the scene, says thanks very much, I'll take that. Great opportunism there by Jack. And Stephen just getting the damage from that one. So, like I say, hate to jump to judgments, Jack. And you have been cleared of any charges there, son. But Henry Morse, Matt, championship leader, tying with Jake Cranstone. He can see that Jake is 3 cars in front of him. What goes through his head now? Does he need to pick up these individual points for extra positions? Or, like I say, does he just keep his patience at this point?
I mean, I don't know the guy, but it depends how he is. If he's an all-out absolute maniac, he will try and get those 3 points. But I think the best thing for him to do would just be to just hold fast. You know, he's still in the points, isn't he? So he's still going to get some points from it. So that's better than none, obviously. But it's difficult. You got to pick your battles, definitely, especially around here.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like right now Dan Downing is picking his battles as well. He's not purposefully putting all the pressure in the world on Kyle Ridley so far. The Australian is holding on very well to this race lead. It's been a uniform performance for Team Jane Fonda and Kyle Ridley so far. Let's not forget that Kyle was called up literally the morning of the championship starting as well, and with him being in Australia, I gave him the message and the sort of call up to race just before he went to bed, and then when he woke up in the morning it was time to race. It's pretty remarkable really, but Kyle has been a superstar in the series so far. I believe he's got 2 podiums to his name up to this point. I'll just check the standings. Yeah, he's at a 2nd place and a 3rd place so far this season as Kyle Ridley, and he's got the 2 fastest independents right behind him right now, Cranstone and Downing, both trying to push on, do what they can do. They've got also the other independent, Jack Johns, up there with them. I think Johns is 2nd in the championship. Yeah, Duncan Mirai saying Jack Johns has got blonde hair. Yes, I've seen this blonde hair, and he said it's made him a 2nd quicker. Not sure whether we should try and adopt that if we get back into actually racing again, Matt. What do you reckon?
Don't know about that. Don't know. Feel like I'll be too busy combing my hair rather than rather than putting some laps in.
Growing your mullet.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
But no, that makes you faster.
Having a mullet, it's rear downforce.
Yeah. Well, you've got no drag at the sides. And, you've got all the party at the back, business at the front.
Love it. Oh! Contact. Downing and Cranstone.
Explosion.
Yeah. Sounds like the engine's gone. Cranstone and
Two of
Downing.
me.
Is Jack Johns now sneaking through? Again, look, Jack Johns, opportunistic as ever, takes third place. You've got to love that. He's really picking his battles there, and he's just gone right down the inside at the opportune moment.
Oh, that's tight. Yeah, you've got to do it. I think, especially around here, there's so many different lines to each corner, and it is just all about picking the time. There's things like even just that tiny little thing is just obviously just unsettled them. He's gone wide, la-di-da, etc. And it's just give him a bit of a run, and he's away.
And now it means that in all the checkups as well that Morse and King are battling once again. All of this has given Kyle Ridley a bit more of an advantage at the front. He's 1.4 seconds clear. These guys are 1.4 yards clear of any track limits at all. We've got this great battle going on a bit further down as well. Sam Van Ols, Tim Rutten, Maciek Sakovic and Dave Waldock. Waldock all over the back of Sakovic. He's just taken him for P12 as well on his charge up towards the point-scoring places. It's actually Tom Minot that's the biggest mover in the field so far. 7 places gained. It seems like it's not going to be another one for a while quite yet. He's all on his own at the minute.
Yeah, what's the gap? Is he a 5-second gap? So that's the perfect time to whack that Spotify on.
Oh,
some energetic bangers.
Jack Johns now down the inside of Jake Cranstone. Dan Downing now choosing to follow Jack through down the inside. Jack wants to make this stick. They break about the same point. He's down the inside into Lodge. Lovely stuff. Downing sees an opportunity. He says, right, this is good for the independents. Stephen King tries to fit his nose through the middle. It's not welcome there. But 2 by 2 as they cross the line here down the not quite straight here at Oulton Park. Jack Johns managing to slot back in front. This is important for the Independents Championship though, because Cranstone needs to be careful. He's got both of these guys fighting in for the Independents. Look how far out they've gone there. That might be slowdown territory.
Line.
Yeah, that is the Josh Rayfield line. That you've got to pay to get back in, go for a swim in the lake, and then come back. But look behind them, Matt, because John Bailiff's now a part of this as well. He and Patrick Dopart have reconvened behind all of this.
Yeah, that was. You see the movement on the wheel there. That was a moment where I thought he was going to hit him. Yeah, no, I think it's just because there's so much battling and. They're actually just slowing themselves down, aren't they? They really, if they were working together, they might be able to move forward a bit further. But no, it's gonna be. If you get adding some more into the fray, is it gonna end up in tears or is it gonna end up in points?
We'll have to wait and see as Bailiff finds a gap there next to Henry Morse. And Henry is racing for the championship indeed. Duncan Marai just mentioning it in chat there. Look, Henry's not getting into incidents here. He's not getting into any drama. He's just cracking on with what he can do. Van Olst and Sakovic swapping places. They've both got ahead of Tim Rutten on this lap as well. So it's kicking off back here. This is just outside of the points. This is for the last point scoring place and for pole position in race 2, let's not forget. So that is just as important. It could be even more important when it comes to the end of the evening, because the second race is usually like last day of school vibes where everyone goes bonkers. They're already going pretty bonkers in this first one. And at the moment, it's looking very, very solid as Stephen King puts his brake pedal through the bulkhead. Makes sure he gets the car stopped. Stephen Burns actually came to a stop there, I'm pretty sure.
Possibly. I mean, that's one way to get around that corner. You almost do need to stop in these things, but yeah, no, it's going to be a bit of a tasty. I think the last few minutes. I think there's going to be a few sends and people getting a bit too excited. I think we're in for a good one here. Get the popcorn ready, Chaz.
I tell you,
it's going to be a movie.
It absolutely is. Tim Rutten's off the road. Apparently, comes back on. Nearly has to pay to get back in as well. Ends up in Cuddington. He's at the Shell garage. But
yeah, I can see him.
Right now, though, I tell you who's going to be a happy boy. Kyle Ridley. 4.5 seconds clear at the front of the field now because of all this battling that's going on. That's the dream scenario, isn't it? But look at them all together. There's a massive train of them for second place. This is the boring cars you'll remember, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't remember being in Kyle Ridley's position. I don't think I ever was, really. I think it felt like it was always a struggle. But yeah, no, this is what they're about, these cars. They're probably the best car on iRacing to actually race close like this. because you can have a little bit of a push, you can have a bit of a tap, and it won't ruin someone's race, depending. But it's great, and especially around here, best track in the country, 100%.
Yeah,
Don't want to hear anyone else's opinions. They're all invalid.
Duncan is really pushing home this blonde hair thing. He's saying Jack's got blonde hair, he can win this. Simple as that. He's now having to defend, though, from Dan Downing, who's around the outside. Jake Cranstone dives to the inside, sees a tiny gap. That was very opportunistic, but that's what it's all about. Jake throws the car down the inside of his not-quite teammate. They're obviously fighting for the Independence Championship here, these guys. There's not many points in it, and there's a separate point-scoring system, but you could see there, Matt, Jake was playing it clever, wasn't he? Dabbed on the brakes, got out of the sort of inside move very early on, and focused on the exit.
Yeah, because if you think that first corner, it is so down to momentum. If he would have kept that line, he probably would have hit hit Downing. But apart from that, it was a good idea, great idea.
We've got Morse here down the inside of Bailiff, trying to get through Knickerbrook without running wide. It's real bum clenchy stuff through there as you now head up Clay Hill. I think he's side by side with Dopart. No, Dopart sits in behind him. This is great stuff, though, because as soon as one of them goes for a move at the front of this train, it just sends a ripple backwards, doesn't it, for other drivers then try moves on each other because of the check-up.
Yeah, the place where you don't want to be in this is in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you want to be at the front of it or the back of it, because at the back of it you can be optimistic and see something happening ahead, whereas at the front, obviously, you've got bird's eye view. So,
well, John Bailiff now looking back at Henry Morse. Henry definitely racing for the championship, but at the same time, he's looking a little bit more racy now behind John. I think he knows that there's a little bit of a gap opened up to Stephen Burns. We've got Sam van Olsten, Magic Sakovic still battling over that final position inside the top 10 and pole position for race 2. Duncan Mirai asking what the incident limit is. Well, it's actually 15 before you get a drive-through penalty and then 20 and you get disqualified. It's very harsh, always has been. But, I mean, again, going to you, Matt, for your opinion on it, because you raced with this before. You know that it's about sort of managing your race. You know what the incident limit is, so you know how to sort of approach the race, don't you? You know not to overdo it and sort of take the mick with it.
Yeah, I think it's difficult around here as well because of it being so narrow. That any slight, just a little bit later of a braking point or a little bit too early on the gas can just make a massive difference. And if you do that a few times, obviously with sometimes little indentations on the side panels every so often from other drivers, things like that they do stack up. I think I have got it on. I'm trying to work out if I can see it on here. How many people have got incident limit?
No, through SDK that we see, it's actually a bit of an incorrect score on it. Unfortunately, it's not quite on
Henry
the.
Morse apparently has got 15.
Yeah, I mean further down as well, we've got drivers with 15, 16, all sorts, but it displays differently on people's screens as well. Me and Ed have figured out. So there's a lot of smoke there in front. Not quite sure what's gone on there, but it seems like Patrick Dopart has lost a place. Stephen Burns has gone back past him down the inside. This was just at the end of the last lap. Burns in the Team Jane Fonda car gets a run. He's going to go for it late on the brakes down the inside of Dopart. Brakes later. The Team Bordeaux car gives him all the room in the world and says, after you, son, because he knows that he doesn't want to lose that gap to the guys in front. It's oh so important as Tim Rutten now fighting Dave Waldock, Matt.
Yeah, it's not long to go. I think it's two laps now, and then I don't know what's the 108, isn't it? So just over 2 laps, maybe 3 if we're lucky.
Downing and King both into the pits. That's surely drive-through penalties in this late stage of the race.
Oh, someone else is coming in as well.
Yep, Tim Rutten. Tim Rutten's just come in. So that is just how easy it is to do. And that is big for Dan Downing and Stephen King. I mean, he's third in the championship at the moment, is Stephen as well. I think Dan Downing's right up there, isn't he? 8th place in the championship for Dan. So that means now that Jack Johns has got a clear road into 2nd place. Jake Cranstone has still got the rabble behind him. But that's certainly going to make life easier where Jack is concerned, isn't it? Yeah,
that's unbelievable that it's just happened there at the end of the race as well. Having such a good race like that, but that's what happens when you're racing very close in these sort of things in these cars. You know, you're pushing to get a gap behind, but then you're pushing
Oh.
also like that. You're also pushing to catch the guy ahead, so it's easily done, especially when you're very close behind another Jetta. You can hardly even see the road in front, so it's easily done, I guess. That's why there's, what was there, four of them?
Yeah. Sorry, three in the pits. So Roberts got past Martin Kenyon and Tim Rutten at the start of the lap. So John went past Tim Rutten here as Tim came out of the pit lane, and then as they got down the hill, John made the move on Martin Kenyon as well. We'll see that. Just as they go down into Foster's, I think he's going to do it on the exit. Oh, Kenyon's gone in just a bit too hard. Oh, Tim tries it down the inside. John sees a gap, puts his nose down the inside, and then just taps the side of him there. But we need to go back to the front, though, because there's only a couple of corners left now for Kyle Ridley. The Australian started from pole position, and it's going to be a perfect score for this first race of the night. It's happened twice before, 3 times before, actually. Every time, in fact, the driver that started on pole has won the race in the first race of the night. Kyle Ridley continues that trend, and the Australian driver for Team Jane Fonda wins round 7 of the British Boring Car Championship by Abruzzi Racewear. And look at that margin. It's going to be some 7 seconds as Jack Johns finishes in 2nd place. Great result that for Jack. Jake Cranstone 3rd, big for the championship. Henry Morse, John Bailiff, Stephen Burns next up. Patrick Dopart ahead of Magic Sakovic. And Dave Waldock is going to be on pole position for race 2 after finishing in 10th place. But what can you say there, Matt? Kyle Ridley, perfect drive. That very, very tidy, wasn't it?
Yeah, he made the most of everyone battling behind him, really. Shame that they didn't really work together and try and get that gap down, but no, that's one of those things, isn't it? He's nothing to take away, nothing from him. That's perfect. Not much more he could do, really, was there?
No.
Apart from make it up to 10 seconds, that would have been better.
So at 7.27 seconds, that would have been the 4th biggest winning margin the championship has ever seen. Josh Rayfield still holds that record. 9.16 seconds clear he was in round 6 of season 1, according to the results and the overall score sheet. We're just going to take a quick look, though, at the race results, and then Matt and I will just go for a quick break before heading back to the second race of the evening. But there you go, Kyle Ridley winning by 7.27 seconds from Jack Johns, who not only takes 2nd place in an overall podium, but the win in the independents category as well. Jake Cranstone finishes in 3rd place. Very well done to Jake. He managed to just keep himself out of trouble enough there. Henry Morse finishes 4th with John Bailiff in 5th. Stephen Burns in 6th place for Team Jane Fonda. Another high score for those guys. Patrick Dopart 7th, and Magic Sakovic inside the top 10 in 8th. Then it's Sam Van Alst in 9th. He will be very happy after having to battle for that 10th place quite early on. And apparently Spotify doesn't like the fact that I'm talking over it. Dave Waldock finishes in 10th. Then we have Tom Minot 11th. Next up, Dan Downing in 12th. Stephen King 13th. John Roberts 14th place ahead of Tim Rutten and Martin Kenyon. Stuart Clark and John Tusting 17th and 18th. Oh, okay. Cheers, graphics. Then we have Michael Elliott 19th. Simon Price in 20th, Luke Austin 21st, and Derek Robb did not finish the race. So, your first Boring Cars broadcast in the commentary box, Matt. First race under your belt. What did you make of it from being up here? You get to see a lot more of the action, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. You get the best seat in the house for it, really. Definitely impressed with Morse. What did I say? He just keeps it clean. Kept it clean. He wasn't putting his, he wasn't going for any stupid moves. He wasn't pushing anything, and he just patient game. And what was he, 4th? So happy days. Yeah, no, it was good. It's a good race. It was. I can't believe how long that train stayed alive for.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, a lot of these boys coming from the Racing Line Jetta Cup, so they know how to race with each other already and what to expect and so on. But a lot of them being in the same voice chat makes a difference as well. That's something that a lot of you guys used to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it was always a laugh. I think it's the only bit of racing I've ever done where there's so many people in the whole grid is in a voice chat. It was great because we used to shout at each other the whole time. And because we knew each other a lot, it was a big group of mates basically, and it was just we were just always shouting at each other. It was always quite funny.
Well, after that first race, Matt and I are just going to take a quick break here on Chaz Draycott Media. We're just going to go and get ourselves a drink, go and chill out for a few, and we'll be back for round 8 of the British Boring Car Championship by Abruzzi Racewear, also sponsored by Sim Stickers and Sim Racing Magazine. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back with you. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Matt Draycott here for the British Boring Car Championship by Abruzzi Racewear. We've just had round 7 of the championship, and Kyle Ridley has taken a very impressive race victory, and that is his first race win of the season here in Season 3. But Jake Cranstone once again scoring big points, and Jack Johns taking a win in the independence category, and late drama with the incident points as well, Matt, which is something that we were kind of expecting but also not hoping for the driver's sake.
No, it's difficult, like we said, about with the track being so narrow, and with that train, obviously there will have been some incident points from pushing or just little sends and then just a little bit of contact and things like that. And obviously when you're behind one of these jetters, it is like a dam. You can't see a thing. So there is that. So your braking points and turning points are pretty much non-existent. You just got to do what the guy in front does.
Yeah, absolutely, and we saw a few moments for Stephen King in particular in that race where they were coming down onto the brakes into Foster's and the car just wouldn't slow down, and he couldn't get it to sort of kick out of the ABS, and obviously doesn't want to hit the car in front of him, but it does add up, doesn't it, over time? And that's the thing, when you are in the middle of that train, you don't want to suddenly slam on in the middle of nowhere, because it's like doing it in the middle of a motorway. You know, you can't guarantee that the cars behind are going to react and expect it. Yeah,
it's one thing I just used to lift and coast a lot of the time when I was too close to someone, just so you don't, obviously, because with anything, when especially on sort of when you're racing, as soon as you see brake lights, you are braking.
Yeah.
Especially if you're so close. So it just a little dab, just a tiny bit of braking, just to give it a little bit of a gap. But no, it was good race, great race. Just that train in the middle just was great. It was good.
Awesome fun to watch as ever. Jack Johns has made his point and gone back to the pits. He's gone fastest in the warm-up session, and now everybody else is going to make their way out. There's a bit of a hybrid between a dodgy MOT and Nodaphone car over to the left-hand side there with Sam Van Alst, and I believe the other driver is Simon Price. I don't think John Roberts is in the pit lane at this present moment. None of them will be in a moment as they all disappear, and we get ready to look at the grid for race 2. We're not going to fully go through this grid because, as you all know by now, it's pretty much the top 10 the other way round. But it's Dave Waldock and Sam Van Alst on the front row, Maciej Sakovic and Patrick Dopart making it an all-Polish row 2, Stephen Burns and John Bailiff on row 3, ahead of Henry Morse and Jake Cranstone, Jack Johns and Kyle Ridley trying to make their way through from the 5th row of the grid. Tom Minot did a great job to get up to 11th in that race, actually, because he started right near the back of the grid. There'll be a few others making their way back through. Look out for Dan Downing and Stephen King, 12th and 13th. Tim Rutten as well. He's always been good in these second races of the night. So what are you expecting this time round, Matt? Much different? Anything in particular?
It's going to add an extra bit of spice, isn't it? Because there's going to be the fast boys that are towards the back, the ones that had the drive-throughs, they've lost places, so they'll be put there. Yeah, the reverse grid's always adding a cat amongst the pig chins, is the way I would put it, because it's a bit of panic for the guys that aren't straight up there, but no, it should be good.
Well, we see now the grid all ready to go. The lights will come on, and round 8 of the British Boring Car Championship by Abruzzi Racewear from Oulton Park is underway, and there's plenty of wheel spin for Waldock, and look at that, Sam Van Alst straight off the line, straight into the lead. Lovely getaway for him. Sakovic does well. Everybody filters over to the right-hand side to try and fill that gap. Is Sakovic going to put his nose down the inside? No, he's not. Jack Johns screaming around the outside of Jake Cranstone. We've got cars off. Tom Minot bouncing across the grass. Stephen King has gained a place on Dan Downing. These are the two that we're expecting to go flying up the order. Minot's just in front of them as well. Let's see what it's like from on board Stephen King. This is the real sort of beehive of it. Oh no, and Minot's made a bit of a mistake, clips the grass. But again, Matt, the way these cars behave, you can just keep it all together and somehow survive.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, just put some more power in or more lock, either one, it'll do fine.
Derek Robb drops a place behind Luke Austin at the back of the pack. These two have sort of fallen away from the field, but Sam Van Alst leading the way for Nodaphone. It was often the case that Nodaphone, with Tom Jacobs, Jack Werrell, Fraser Smith, those guys in the first couple of seasons were often very, very far up the order, right near the likes of Dennis Melcher, Dave Waldock, one Matt Draycott. John Bailiff is up there as well in 4th position at this moment in time. Seems like there's a car off in the background. Someone's had an off. Dan Downing is off. Dan Downing's off in the barriers. And he manages to bounce off as the Jetta does and continue. But what on earth has happened there? Stephen King involved.
Four wheels, isn't it, basically?
Stephen King involved in this one. Let's see what happened here.
Brake, I reckon.
Oh
my
no.
Goodness, how did he survive?
How did he not hit anybody else? I don't know what he was looking at.
That is clench and hope.
That is terrifying. Look at this. So you can see it there. That's the moment. How he doesn't hit the other guys, I don't know.
See, I think in real IRL, I think. Oh, his windscreen. His window's gone.
Yeah, the windows disappear when they get damaged. It's very strange.
I think in real life, I think he made the right choice there.
Yeah.
But on iRacing, it almost speeds you back up again. So I don't know. I think if he would have, he should have gone back left, possibly. I don't know. But spur of the moment, sure it'll be fine.
Are you insinuating he should have wiped out Stephen King? I don't think Stephen would like that. He's had another moment actually. Oh, has he? No, Simon Price. Oh dear, that's more than a moment. That is. Oh, the engine's just gone. Either that or it's just diesel that's coming out. But Simon has had
the smoke anyway.
An moment on the exit of Druids. He's just going to clip the grass here, isn't he? We've seen. How many times have we seen this?
Yeah, outside. Bye.
Oh goodness me. Oh, and he's even hit the metal barrier rather than the tyre wall as well. Dave Waldock, by the way, still in second place here. We've got the Nodaphone cars and both the Team Bordeaux cars right up there at the top of the pile here, all piling in. Henry Morse looking down the inside of Jack Johns. They're side by side on the exit in Knickerbrook. This is nice and tight and twisty once again, but look who's behind them, Matt, taking advantage round the outside. Lovely stuff. Jake Cranstone, I think Morse got a slowdown potentially.
Yeah, I think if you put your right wheels around either side of the sausage curb at the bottom, I think that's the main thing. But that sausage curb doesn't seem as dangerous as it once was.
Well,
one
of the things I'd say with these cars in particular, I mean, we see it with a lot of cars that race around this layout of Oulton Park, is that you will often get the right-hand wheels over the curb, the sausage goes underneath the car, and then you've got the left wheels around the outside of the sausage curb. But look at this. This is closer than it needs to be. Bailiff squeezing Waldock to the outside of the circuit. And 2 Nodaphone cars in the top 3 right now. That's lovely to see for them. Then you've got the 2 Team Bordeaux cars, Waldock and Dopart behind them. Stephen Burns trying to stay ahead of Jack Johns right now. Massive train of cars once again. Look at them all. Constantly battling all together. That's how tight it is down there as Burns hops over the curb. Johns tries it round the outside. Is he going to make that work? Seriously? I think he will do through Knickerbrook as well, because Burns is going to be on the curb. Oh. Normally you can't hear it when someone holds their breath, but you can hear it from here. But look who's with them. Taking advantage. Championship leader Cranstone yet again.
Yeah, so you could see him lift off then. He just didn't want to get too involved. I mean, I would have taken it 3 wide, but apart from that, I don't think you could fit three of these side by side.
Well, I think you can fit 2 though, because if you listen carefully, you'll realise that on the left of Jake Cranstone is Kyle Ridley. He's now decided to go around the outside. Henry Morse wants a piece of this as well, and behind all that, Tom Minot's in the picture. This is constant battling. This is what the British Boring Car Championship is all about. And again, Cranstone holds on for now. But this is the thing though, Matt. If they battle like this, sometimes they can slow each other down and lose the train ahead of them, can't they?
Yeah, 100%. It's one of those. Sometimes it wins, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you get him through fast enough.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh. Dave Waldock ends up off the road. John Bailiff gets absolutely clattered into on the exit of Foster's. I don't think there was anything Waldock could have done there. He tried to turn the car out of the way. Bailiff was just an innocent bystander and all of that. Let's see what happened though and how that all came about. Waldock with Dopart next to him.
On the inside.
Hopefully not contact with his teammate. He's just gone in too hot around the outside. Innocent mistake by Waldock. He throws the car out of the way and spoils the party of what was a Nodaphone 1-2 actually. Van Olst now has a decent gap look over Sakovic.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of swings and roundabouts. Silver lining, I don't know. Depends if they're going for the team championship or not. But no, it's Nodaphone. They're 5th, aren't they?
Yeah.
Currently in the team, so I mean they could have done with some decent points, but there's still a long way to go. Oh dear. That
was Tim Rutten there getting involved with. I think John Roberts was in that as well. I think he bounced off the side of Tom Minot, I think it was. No, it was Martin Kenyon actually.
He's just going too hot on the inside, I think.
Yeah. Oh, it hits the curb a little bit.
Yeah, it was always going to go wide there though.
Nothing Roberts could have done either, and that was that. Around into the barrier goes Tim Rutten,
goes.
and that was the end of, well, that's all she wrote, as Tom Jacobs would say. Patrick Dopart and Maciej Sakovic, the two Polish drivers, second and third right now. We've got Jake Cranstone, the lead Brit, effectively. Stephen Burns campaigning for his own independence there in 5th place for Scotland. Jack Johns, well, technically he's British, but we have him with the United Arab Emirates flag because he does live out in Dubai at the moment. So he's repping his citizenship, let's say. As Patrick Dopart now looks down the inside of Maciej Sakovic, and it looks like Maciej is just deciding to stick with some championship points there, Matt. Playing a little bit cute, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's playing a long game there, 100%. He's just going to let him go through. He's probably doing what I would do. If you know that someone behind you is faster, let them go, and then you can just sit with them, keep their pace, and hopefully they'll drag you through.
And if they are pushing too hard and that's why they're quick, they might muck up their own race. Jack Johns is instantly looking racy here because he knows that another podium is on the cards here, isn't he? He's all over the back of the Might Just Fit car.
Yeah, he's looking very aggressive. He needs to have a bit more patience, I think. You've still got 12 minutes to go, son. You'll be alright.
I think he knows that he needs to show his blonde hair off at the front of the pack. Either that, or to be fair, it's one of those, Sakovic has just lost a place, so that'll still be fresh in his mind. So Jack knows that he needs to pounce sooner rather than later, I guess, and try and take advantage of that. Still got this epic train behind all this as well, Stephen King chasing Morse, chasing Ridley, chasing Cranstone, chasing Burns. And even then, Stephen Burns is only 7/10 of a second behind Jack Johns. Amazing stuff.
Yeah. One of each, I think, haven't we, in that little tray?
Yeah.
One of each flavour.
Indeed, one of each flavoured crayon in all of this. It's awesome. There you go. There's Ridley. Look, Ridley's attacking the back of Cranstone here, still trying to upset his rhythm a little bit because I think all the drivers know, and I think some of you guys knew it in the earlier seasons. When you've got a driver that could be a potential runaway champion, you all have to try and upset that rhythm, don't they?
Yes, definitely. Anything to get rid of that mojo and get rid of that confidence, you will do it, even whether it is just to come out of one mirror and go into the other, just to make them just have that little glance up. That can play massive waves in a championship. Just because if someone's looking behind them, they're not gonna be looking in front of them technically.
Very true.
A bit of a
Jack Johns has gained 5 places in this race so far, started 9th on the grid after finishing 2nd in the earlier one. He's gained the most places out of anyone inside the top 10. Stuart Clark, Michael Ellett and Luke Austin, just here, have all gained 6 positions so far through the offs and let's just call it the misfortunes of others.
Yes, misfortunes.
But it's simple mistakes.
Oulton Park will do that to you.
It will. It absolutely will. It's one of those circuits that, like we said before, no forgiveness, is there?
No, it's Marmite. You either love it or you hate it.
And right now, I think Sam Van Olst will very much love it as he leads the way for Nodaphone. You've really got a feel for John Bailiff as well. He did have a fast repair available, but he's not gone back out as John, so clearly the frustration getting the better of him after that one. And at the end of the day, difficult to fight for championship points beyond that, I guess. Simple mistake, though, by Waldock. I think we've all been there, haven't we? Waldock's continued on, but, I mean, wow, there's not much left to the left rear of that Jetta, to say the least, so it's going to feel like absolute backside round corners like Druids. Jack Johns is the one that's intriguing me right now, though, because he's getting a bit more of a gap over the rabble behind him, and he's only got eyes to go forward and try and attack Maciej Sakovic. Stephen Burns is going to have eyes all over the place. They're looking at each individual mirror all at once to try and hold off Jake Cranstone. The two of them very close to contact at turn 1, and that's going to set him back to his teammate Kyle Ridley for just a moment.
I think that was a little bit tactical there, a little bit of team help. I think he just decided that he wasn't going to turn in, didn't he?
Did a bit of a Rosberg, didn't he, there? And Stephen just running wide. But that's the thing, though, again, this car, it gives you that sort of false hope that it's got all the grip in the world sometimes, and then at other corners it just feels like an absolute cross-channel ferry, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Sometimes it feels like a potato, and then other times it's blinking. So it just, it varies per corner, it feels like, and especially through a race as well. It starts off and it feels quite good, and then it suddenly goes. I remember it was always the practices, the warm-ups for the second race. It always felt amazing because you'd just driven it for 15 minutes, and the last few laps, the tyres were basically just rim.
Yeah.
And then it was, then you get these brand new tyres, and it felt like an absolute beast. It was great.
Here's the battle for the lead, though. Sam Van Olst now just in front of Patrick Dopart. Patrick's gradually been chipping away at that race lead, and Team Bordeaux's driver trying to get their first race victory of the season. He's really putting the pressure on the Vodafone driver after his teammate got wiped out by, well, funnily enough, Dopart's teammate as well, actually. It was the two of them that went off, Waldock and Bailiff. Bordeaux versus Vodafone. These two flying the flags for their independent teams at the top now. Speaking of independents, it's Jack Johns that is yet again leading the independents category. Jake Cranstone's second in that. Stuart Clark is third in the category, all the way down in 11th place, outside of the overall points, but still on to get 6 points in the independents championship. That's how that works with these guys. So no matter where they finish in the overall field, they will have a separate point scoring system. The pressure is really being put on by Dopart now. Do you think that he knows that they need to sort of open a gap from the guys behind here, Matt, or does he just want to desperately be the guy to lead the way and give it his own approach?
I think he can either do it one or two ways, really, can't he? He can either work with him, or he can just be a nuisance to him. I think he's doing a bit of a mixture.
It's hard to judge at this point.
He doesn't really know what he wants to do, I don't think. He's because he's doing a bit of a bump draft down the straight, but then he's also sort of putting his nose in his mirrors. So, that's not going to end well.
Oh dearie me, it's all gone to pot. It is all gone to pot. Jack Johns late on the brakes there, trying to get past Maciej Sakovic. Hits the back of Patrick Dopart, then has more contact with Sakovic, and that's thrown him back into the pack where Stephen Burns, Jake Cranstone and Kyle Ridley are. And again, it just takes a moment like that to really throw it all up. Morse has somehow got alongside Ridley now as well. Down the inside into Druids, there you go. He backs out of it. Stephen King has to back out of that. That then opens them up to Tom Minot behind them in the Ericsson Hitters car. On for his first points of the season if he keeps it nice and clean is Tom. But it just changes so quickly, the entire environment of this race, doesn't it? And again, look, all of a sudden Dopart's back with Van Olst.
Yeah, he's always got to run. Some kind of. Before they started going left. If Van Olst just keeps his momentum round the outside.
I can hear you holding your breath.
I'm not in control. I don't know what they're going to do.
Sakovic now down the inside into Cascades. Nearly contact with Dopart. Nearly contact. Dopart runs it wide, cuts back across on the brakes. Is he going in too hot? I don't think he is. Cranstone and Burns side by side. Ridley now gets a run. Ridley's going to go through. Whoa, Sakovic over to the right. Has he had a slowdown penalty? I think there was more contact there with Dopart for Sakovic. Cranstone and Ridley need to squeeze through there as well. Oh, dearie me, there's contact there between Burns and Jack Johns as well. Oh, it's all starting to kick off now. This is the part of the race where it all goes to pot for everybody. The last day of school vibes, like I said before. Sakovic got to be careful on that curb. Van Olst has been given a free pass there, but look, this is what happens to Maciej Sakovic. He's dropped down to 7th position here. Wait, this was the lap before even, flipping heck. What on earth? Was this the one? No, this is the lap before. I'm not a clue what Dopart was doing there. He was moving over to the right-hand side or something. Not sure if they got glued together. I'm trying to find the right one. I do apologise, everybody. So this is it. So Sakovic gets a run. Dopart moves over to the right, and Sakovic just has to back out of it. I'm not sure whether that was blocking or what, but
I don't know whether
aggressive.
I don't think he knew. I don't think he knew anything about it. I think it was I don't think. It doesn't look like they were close enough to have an alert from Jimmer. So
yeah,
crew chief I don't think would have, or if it did, it was probably just as he hit the brakes.
Yeah.
So it is difficult.
I think he did definitely want to cover that inside line, but I don't think he knew that Maciej was that far alongside. But then Maciej did go back to the pits anyway. I think he got a meatball flag, the black and orange flag, which means your car's too damaged. Go back to the pits, please. Here's Dan Downing, certainly always finding someone to fight with further down. He's got Derek Robb and Michael Ellett in there. Robb headbutts the back of Ellett's team netcode car. Downing down the inside. Ellett runs wide on the exit and loses the places. Through they go. But back to the front three.
Classic.
Go on, sorry.
Classic push to pass.
Yeah.
On the brakes.
Bit of a
so just
I don't necessarily think it was a push to pass. The contact was a lot further before that, as Sakovic, unfortunately, is back in the pits, showing everybody that he can do a burnout. I'm pretty sure he'll be frustrated after what happened there. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but Majek clearly frustrated about what happened late on in the race. He was on for some good championship points there. But Sam Van Olst, well, he's still on for some good championship points if he wins the race, obviously, but he still needs to hold off Patrick Dopart, Jack Johns, and then the rest. Stephen Burns and Kyle Ridley, well, they're going well for the team's championship right now, Matt, 4th and 5th.
Yeah, it's good points. They just need to keep their heads. This is the point. Everyone starts realising that it's the last few laps and they get all a bit giddy. They just need to keep their heads, because I guarantee there'll be someone that does a move that you wouldn't do sort of in the middle of a race. It'll be a last lap sort of dive. I'm sure someone will do something that's a bit one of them, but we'll see.
Simon Price has put a comment in the YouTube chat saying, for sale, Volkswagen Jetta TDI, low mileage, one careful owner, some damage, sold as seen, blue and yellow with some brown stains on the driver's seat. And I imagine it might have had something to do with the one that we saw going to the bridge earlier on. Here's a battle further down. Derek Robb having to wiggle on the brakes to not hit the back of John Tusting. Just in front of these is Daniel Downing, John Roberts and Martin Kenyon continuing on their scrap. John Roberts is going to be fed up of the Ericsson Hitters cars, because he had a very feisty scrap with Tom Minot at Silverstone, and now he's got a fight on his hands with Kenyon. We've got 1 minute and 52 seconds to go here. 2 laps to go, Matt, and the lead battle is on now between Van Olst and Dopart. And now Johns.
Yes. Oh, well. So this is the thing, if you start attacking each other, any of this 8 could win this.
Absolutely.
It's going to be like a cycle race where the first person goes first just to keep the pace, and then someone comes flying out, and yeah, we'll see. I don't know who my money's on. Who's yours?
Oh, I can't say that. I'm championship organiser, but someone in the top 8. Maybe top 10. You never know how wrong it's going to go. Henry Morse trying to get the cutback, look. Yeah. Morse, tries to get the cutback, but Cranstone cuts back over to the right-hand side there, as if to say, not a chance, mate. You're all right. And he decides to cut across him. I don't think he knew, like we were saying before, I don't think the contact was intentional at all. I don't think he knew that he was that far alongside. Just wanted to squeeze him to the inside line, just to force him to back out of it. 1 lap to go here then at Oulton Park in the British Boring Car Championship by Abruzzi Racewear. Thanks also to championship sponsors Sim Stickers and Sim Racing Magazine. Sam Van Olst doesn't care about any of that though. He doesn't care what stickers are on the car or anything right now. He's got 1 lap to lead home this bunch. Barney dusting the white flag off on the pit wall. And across the line they go then. 1 more lap here, Matt. What are you expecting, if anything?
I think Van Olst is pretty much going to drive the whole track with his one eye on his rear view mirror. I think he's just got to defend for 1 lap. That's a big ask when he's got so many, but you just hope that nothing major happens now and ruins anyone's races.
Sounds like a bit of contact here and there. Cranstone and Morse side by side yet again here. Morse finally has the inside line. These are the 2 championship leaders tied on points coming into this race meeting, and Morse is going to get through on the inside. I think Cranstone will let that one slip for now. He knows that he doesn't need to fight it too hard. Sounds like there was a bit more argy-bargy going on a bit further down, but we need to keep our eyes on this, because as the championship goes, as we get to the halfway point of the season, or near it anyway, this is oh so important, and Henry Morse cleanly through. Stephen King wants a piece of it as well, but at the front Van Olst has 1 more corner to defend here from Patrick Dopart. He's down the inside, he's defending that inside line, but he's got to give room to Dopart on the exit. He doesn't need to though, because Van Olst has got it done, and Jack Johns is surely going to go through on Dopart around the final corner. He's going to have the run to the line. It's Sam Van Olst who wins at Oulton Park in round 8 of the championship. Jack Johns just beats Patrick Dopart to the line. 2 second places for Jack Johns tonight. What a result for him. Then it's Kyle Ridley, Stephen Burns, Henry Moore, Stephen King, Jake Cranstone, Tom Minot, and Stuart Clark gets a top 10 as well. But boy, oh boy, did Sam Van Olst work hard for that one. And he will be over the moon with that. At the start of the season, everybody said the team to watch would be Vodafone. And well, he's now finally on the right layout, and you know exactly where he's going, Matt.
Yeah.
Phenomenal stuff by Sam Van Olst. But what a great race that what a great race that was. Awesome entertainment. What did you make of that?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. It was clean. Clean, very clean. It was. I was expecting something worse to happen in that front scrap, but no, it was good. Yeah, Van Alst did very well to keep it. Jack John's an opportunist at the the perfect moment. Just when you're pushing so hard, Draycott, he'll be kicking himself there for that last corner.
He absolutely will be, but that's the thing, you can push like mad, and this car, it's very easy to overstep the mark. Sam Van Alst takes his first victory in the British Boring Car Championship by Abruzzi Racewear, ahead of Jack Johns, 2 second places tonight and 2 independent wins. Amazing stuff by Jack. Patrick Dopart finishing in 3rd with Team Bordeaux up there once again. Team Jane Fonda, what another fantastic night for point scoring. Kyle Ridley 4th and Stephen Burns in 5th. Henry Morse finishes in 6th place, Stephen King in 7th, and then Jake Cranstone down in 8th place, but still, championship points, they all mean prizes. Tom Minot in 9th, and Stuart Clark in the Independents finishes in 3rd and gets an overall top 10. Downing was 11th, with Derek Robb in 12th, ahead of Dave Waldock down there in 13th. He'll be hating that mistake that he made earlier on. And it was John Tusting 14th, Michael Ellett 15th, Martin Kenyon in 16th place, ahead of John Roberts and Majek Sakovic 1 lap down. Luke Austin 19th, Tim Rutten not finishing, John Bailiff and Simon Price also joining him on the sidelines. So, it's time for one of the best parts of the evening. Apologies, Matt. I realise I've just stopped my the feed to my brother.
Thanks. I thought that was it.
No,
we're done.
Yeah, that's it.
Mic drop.
We can go home. No, I realise what I've done here is I've ended the programme which I was streaming as a result. We're just going to quickly jump back to earlier on in the race, of course, as we so often do here, to get some slow-mo footage so we can then speak to some drivers and see what they made of their evening. And one man that I'm very glad to see has jumped in for an interview after his best night in the championship so far. Jack Johns, you've been waiting for that one, mate. It's finally come for you, and a very, very solid evening all the same. You must be pleased with that.
John C.
For crying out loud. For crying out loud.
I mean, it's about time, you're right. I've been waiting a while. I felt comfortable today. Yeah, no, I don't know. Oulton's always done well for me, I think, but then I used to think Donington had, and then obviously the meatball ruined that. But yeah, I don't know. I think today I just came in a little bit more relaxed. After the 2, I think I've had 2 basically DNFs out of the first 6 rounds. So I sort of just approached this one as I'm just going to drive. I'm not going to focus on trying to get points, and it ended up being the biggest points all of the season with 2 P2s. So didn't expect that, because this is, as you probably said many times on stream, tough track to overtake. So starting P9 in race 2, I was like, well, I had a good run. And then there were parts of that race where I thought Sam's a good defender, but I felt like I could have had him. Just ran out of time, and Magic put up a strong defence as well. So it's a shame that you got to drive through, but it is what it is.
Well, it's part and parcel of it, like we were saying about being in a train for so long around such a narrow circuit. It's not a place where you've got anywhere to sort of avoid other drivers, is it? You can't jump out of the way onto a runoff area or anything. It's just got nowhere to go.
No, it's the grass is a little bit lethal for sure. That main corner downhill, the downhill right-hander, I don't know, turn 3, I guess, I felt like I used up all my luck on the first few laps, because I think I got Jake round the outside there because of the train, and then I've done Henry round the outside there because it's only because of the train. If you're on the inside line there defending because you want to take the safe option, I don't know how I made it around the outside, but I think Henry might have got a slow down actually, to be fair. So I should thank him really, because we could have touched and he ended up sort of sacrificing a bit of time to not. So it was good. It was tight racing, good little track. I look forward to coming back here on the island layout later in the season.
Yeah, certainly that hairpin's going to be just as much of a pinch point as Foster's was for this one. What have you made of the season so far, though? I know it's been a bit of a roller coaster in terms of good luck and bad luck, but I suppose it's part and parcel of racing these cars, isn't it? It can be a bit chaotic.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I felt more comfortable today. I think I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to understand. I think there was probably a little bit of luck involved, or just the way people were driving today felt a little bit different. Maybe they were slightly more cautious with the way the 1Xs are around here, and the later we get into this championship, the more people are going to worry about that 15x limit, which has been there from the start and will stay till the end. I think I've been lucky. I think I got a drive for it second race in Brands, but there was a few other races where I've been lucky not to get one. It really is. I like the limit because it really is. It makes you think about stuff.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about sort of like in the first race. I think I had 4x, and I think when I was running out of time, I was like, you know what, I'm going to start extending turn 1 because I've got a couple in the bag. So you can use them strategically. It's great fun. But I know Henry was on 14x in both races, so he's done well.
Wow.
I think Jake was on 14x in the first race as well. So it's been good. So I think do you know what? It's been great fun, and I'm glad you've put it on because it means I get to finally compete with them. And yeah, I'm starting to understand the pressure and being in a train of. I mean, what was the gap in qualifying, Chaz? It must have been close. I didn't see the time.
I think top 20 were 8/10. It's just ridiculous. the top 4 was less than a tenth, I think it was, as well.
Yeah.
It's just nuts.
It's pretty tight, and I think just luck went my way a little bit today, and you have to be careful when you're overtaking someone, because if you get the overtake wrong, you get overtaken by the train behind. So
yeah.
I was really hoping Patrick was going to put Sam under more pressure so I could try and get them both, but it is what it is. 2 P2s, I think that might be my strongest result of the season, so grateful for it.
Well, it's great to have you in the guys' jackets. Honestly, again, I've said it a lot this season, but it's really great to see the sort of the new blood that you've brought with you into the championship, and we'll always be grateful for that, so thank you. It's always good fun to have you as well, and especially in the box. Good to have you back up here. Is there anyone you'd like to give a thanks to before you go?
But thank you to you, Chaz, for running it. Thank you to... Oh, actually, can I shout out the Jetta Cup?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Jetta Cup is starting soon, guys, so if you're enjoying this racing. I mean, if people...
The better version of it is getting going.
No. It's just... I mean, it's just as stressful, don't get me wrong, but I'm not racing, so I guess there's less contact, they would say, the other drivers. But it's an all-American season this season, and it starts within the next month. Sign-ups are in the Racing Line Discord, so... who else would I like to thank you? I think Austin was watching today, so thank you to Austin. I'd like to thank Kyle's mum, Luke Eggles, Kukushkin, and Poggensey. The end.
Lovely stuff, Jack. Great to speak to you as ever, mate. Thank you very much for popping in. We'll see you next time round.
See you soon. Thanks, Josh.
Cheers. Jack Johns there, Matt. Clearly a man that's having a better time this week than he has in the past few rounds, let's say.
Yes, definitely. He did well. He, sort of like he said, with his luck, and sometimes you have rounds like that where there is just luck is on your side with incident points and people just getting into little fights when they don't really need to, etc. But yeah, no, he's done well. It's a good night.
Absolutely, he did have a good night. And someone whose night started very well and then had a very solid second race as well is Kyle Ridley. Kyle, welcome to the booth, my friend. You must be pretty pleased with that after Oulton Park. I know it's a circuit that a lot of people come to expecting a bit of carnage, a bit of mixed up race results, because it's just such an unforgiving track, isn't it?
That's it. I mean, firstly, good morning, and secondly,
yes.
That track is normally carnage. You see it a lot in lower formulas where it's used to like old-school touring cars, and yeah, especially turn 2, it causes carnage. It did a little bit tonight, but I felt like it was fairly clean. I can't speak much with race 1 because they disappeared. I don't know what happened.
Well, I was going to say that's probably the perfect scenario. Matt, who's commentating with me tonight, is season 2 and reigning champion, but even he never remembers a time when he had a race like that where the battles all happened behind and you just drove over the horizon. It must have been quite, I don't know, just a big sigh of relief, I imagine, as the times sort of got bigger and bigger.
Well, this is normally a track I historically are slow at in this car, so I don't know if it's just particularly the Foster's layout or the other layouts that I'm slower, but at this layout, it worked. Got myself a pole, which is very rare. And yeah, they battled behind me, and I just said, thanks, guys. I'll see you race 2.
Well, it's certainly the best way of looking at it, I guess. Just take it as it comes. But even still, second race, you managed to fight through what was going on and get into the top 10. How difficult was that around here tonight? Because it looked like it was almost an impossible task. You had to sort of wait for someone to open the door or make a mistake.
Pretty much. Overtake, such a momentum-based track, especially with the car. It was so tough to overtake. There was one spot, like turn 3, you could send it, but then you'd be on the inside for turn 4, and that's not ideal. So then you'd lose like 2 seconds battling, and then before you know it, pack's gone and you maybe made a place. So I just sat behind Jake, wait for the positions to come. Thankfully they did. And yeah, Stephen let me by on the last lap for points, and P4 in the end from 10th to 4th. I honestly can't complain.
Well, that's one of the things about it, really. It's one of those nights where you never know what you're going to get in the British Touring Car Championship, and I'm sure the upcoming Jetta Cup as well. It's going to get very interesting next week. 30th of August, we go to Knock Hill in Scotland, a track that this series has never raced at. What do you make of going there?
This car's so swiftly run, it's going to be bouncy, especially through the flip-flop. But at least we'll be able to overtake, especially into the hairpin and turn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be one of those things, really, where you've just got to sort of, again, manage the situation and just take each lap as it comes. But well done again for this evening, Kyle. Great entertainment, as ever, with you in the pack with the guys. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout-out to before you go?
Yeah, I want to thank you two for the commentary and broadcasting. I want to thank Stephen for letting me by on that last lap. Every point counts. And I just want to give a shout-out to my mum, who's doing a bit better lately.
Good stuff. Well, always a pleasure, Kyle, and hopefully we will see you again soon, mate. Well done.
Cheers.
Cheers. And very quickly, we will move on almost instantly to the final interview of the evening. We speak to Henry Morse, who came into this round as tied championship leader. Henry, not the perfect night tonight, but it was a bit of damage limitation, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think part of it was that I just moved and I'm racing on Wi-Fi instead of Ethernet, and I had so many Ghost 4Xs, and I'm just really glad I didn't get drive-through either race. But priority number one, I wanted to come on here and give a shout out to my roommate Landon, who set up the Wi-Fi in time for me to make this race.
Well, it's like having a virtual sort of pit crew that get it all sorted really quickly for you, isn't it, in that scenario? But even still, it's great to still see that we managed to get you out there tonight, Henry, and still not an easy place to go racing, is it, Oulton Park?
Not at all. Yeah, the runs are really hard to get, and especially for me, like my bread and butter was in that hairpin. I don't know if you caught any of that, but I would get a really good run out of there, and sometimes be able to put it on the inside of the kink, but that doesn't do anything except slow you down. So I don't know. It was hard to make passes happen. It was kind of just taking whatever fruit fell. But yeah, I kept it on. Managed to avoid getting a drive-through, and really on the last lap there, that was it was very dicey because I was on 14x when I went for the move on Jake, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, if I'm going to win this thing, it's going to be because of risks that I take and don't mess up. So yeah, glad that worked out.
Well, that's it. You've got to make the evening work for you, I suppose, as it goes on. But it's been a great championship to get started in, I suppose, for you so far. Big championship scores, but now we get into the real nitty-gritty circuit right in the middle of the season at Knock Hill. What do you make of that wonderful Scottish treasure?
I'm definitely going to have to unwrap it a little bit further before I fully understand it. I've done a few races there, but it is betwixting, to say the least. It is like, I don't know. There's the fastest way to get around there is, not on the track, right? So
yeah, on your roof.
It's yeah, pretty much. So yeah, it takes a little bit more finagling for me to figure that one out. But I'll definitely do extra practice for that round specifically.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing how that translates into results. Henry, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Yeah, as well as not only Landon Linner, but Landon Lewis, as well as Kyle's mom, and Duncan, Austin, and probably Parker as well, who are watching back home. So yeah, thank you guys, as always, for putting on this fun event, and we'll see you next week.
It's always a pleasure, Henry. Thank you very much, mate, for jumping in, and we will see you at Knock Hill. Have a good one.
You as well.
Cheers. Yeah, good evening, Kyle's mum, who everybody seems to shout out. I feel that is a definite hidden your mum joke going on. Matt, first race as a commentator this evening, first race meeting on a championship you raced in at our local circuit. Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, perfect. I mean, track's perfect anyway, as it is, before you put 21 Jettas around it. But no, it was good, close racing. They were all very, very sensible. I don't remember it being so sensible when back in my day.
Back in day.
But back in day. No, it was good. The guys were all very. You could tell most of them race together, don't they? So it's they know each other. They know how to handle a Jetta. Not that that's ever come out of my mouth before. But yeah, no, it was good. It was good. Everyone was behaved. Everyone raced fair. It was fast. I don't think I'd stand a chance nowadays.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you in the box, Matt. Thank you very much for jumping in. Thank you very much to everybody that's been watching, all the sponsors of the championship as well, Abruzzi Racewear, Sim Stickers and Sim Racing Magazine, and of course our beautiful drivers who have put on such a great show. Once again here in the Chaz Draycott Media British Boring Car Championship by Abruzzi Racewear. Kyle Ridley and Sam Van Olst, two brand new winners on the roster this evening from Oulton Park, and as you've heard, we will see you in a week's time, everybody, at Knock Hill. But until then, take care and have yourselves a fantastic evening. We'll see you soon.
Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The three wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and a drift to show off. I love it. 18.5 minutes gone. Senna Anderson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Finish. I think Dennis Melchett has done enough to win the last round of the championship and to win the title all in one fell swoop.
It's the British Boring Car Championship. Things are never chilled here. Honestly, the cars may be a bit dull, but wow, the racing certainly isn't.
Fastest lap of the race now, Ben Lambert.
Look at Andy Fox coming through the middle. He makes a little bit of contact. Dave Waldock is around and he's off on the grass.
Brayfield tries to go right round the outside of Druids. You do not do that and get away with it very often.
Takes the win in round 12. There's contact again. Fraser Smith and Dennis Melchett are off the circuit.